All right, so we now have a threat or maybe a decision to conduct a naval blockade of the Strait of Hormuz by us, our U.S. Navy. Seems like escalation is the path to go. The talks in Islamabad seem to have gone nowhere after 21 hours of talks between seemingly the Iran, the leader of their parliament, and their foreign minister, and our vice president. We were led to nothing. And the talks wrapped up yesterday, and now today we're announcing a naval blockade of the Strait of Hormuz. I'm going to make some freaking coffee. Specifically, we're going to have a lungo of the Common Voice canopy. It has a like a caramel, dark chocolatey taste to it. We're going to make it in my espresso machine. And here's the thing, guys. I think that it is particularly disheartening that sometimes it's time for brinksmanship, sometimes it's good for diplomacy, sometimes it's good for aggression. This feels like a game of chicken, and both countries seem to be waiting to see who will blink first. And I'm not really sure who's going to make that first move. Quite frankly, I was feeling very hopeful that we were no longer going to be spending a whole lot of money, a whole lot of bread in that area. And because I have small things here that I have to concern myself with all the time, that I want folks to the government to concern themselves with as well, especially just the inflation and the cost of everything, especially my utilities. Like I want like a shift in focus on that type of stuff. But it seems like that we really are owning this like you break it, you buy it mentality where we, along with Israel, started the war, and now we're going in and to fully fix the Strait of Hormuz. It gives me the vibes that we're trying to be the ones to say we fixed it. Although before this started, Iran was not charging any tolls or any negotiated measures between any countries for to be able to transit the strait. And there was just not U.S. casualties, so much money spent, and now this contention between NATO and the United Nations and us, and it's just so much going on. Let me grind these beans. So we're at this point where we're seeing from a Truth Social post that the president made, as well as an interview he gave on Fox News this morning to Maria Bartiromo, that we are in a place of possible naval blockades. Let me look here because I thought that this truth that he made was pretty freaking interesting, mainly because it seems to pave the way that we're making an announcement that we're going to be doing a similar thing that Iran is doing, but I guess it's justified for us because we got shit to do there. I mean, the president's statement is super long. I'm not going to read the whole thing. The biggest key takeaways that I have from it is that number one, we're going to be implementing a naval blockade of the Strait of Hormuz. And also, number two, any vessel that pays a toll to the Iran for transit will be interdicted by the U.S. Navy in international waters. So, what the heck does that mean? Well, there's a lot there because number one, as it stands right now, there are very few countries that have been given explicit permission by Iran to transit the state, whether through negotiations of tolls or because they're an ally or because they're provided them intelligence or weaponry or whatever. We have Russia, China, Pakistan, India, and Iraq. All those countries have permission to transit the strait from Iran. So you mean to tell me that if Pakistan has a tanker that toll or no toll, they have Iranian oil on them, and they're transiting the strait. We're gonna intercept them in international waters. Like I don't know how, especially Pakistan was literally the place where we just had these Islamabad talks. If you don't know, that's where the heck it's located inside of Pakistan, and they've negotiated their own deal or whatever for the strait. It doesn't feel like it makes a lot of sense to now threaten to kind of just go in on these places in international waters. Are we going to do the same thing with like a Chinese vessel that has Iranian oil on it? I mean, that seems like it is just a path of escalation. What I really think is happening is that the president is being told through some type of intelligence we don't know about that the capabilities of the Iranian Navy are super depleted. These unmanned naval drones that we've seen threatened to be used, where they kind of sit them in the water and attack tankers. Maybe their ballistic missiles have come down to damn near zero, and as well as their aerial drones as well. So maybe we just got like more intelligence than we know about, and everything's going to be peachy, everything's going to be great. Or the fact that the president also mentioned he wants 100%, not 90%, not 80%. He wants everything. He does not want them to be able to do enrichment of uranium. He does not want them to have the ability to do anything. And so it's because we're playing like this all or nothing game, it makes it feel like that we are 100% running towards a regime who doesn't show any propensity to give a about what we think in regards to what we want. They've shown 47 years through the different ayatollahs, now being on their third one, to just take it on the chin, even if it means to the detriment of their people. You know, normally when a government exists, whether it's through dictatorship, whether it's through, a representative democracy or something like that, the people allow themselves to be governed, you know, whether it's they decide not to do a coup or they participate in government. I mean, that's what we do here in America. We allow ourselves to be governed. And so if we see for its 47 years, no matter how many times they have tried, these folks are allowing themselves to be governed a certain way. And do I agree that it would be fantastic to not have the Iranian regime in place? Yeah, 100%. But also, do I think that this is their responsibility to handle the shit themselves? Yes. But we're beyond just them handling the changing out of a regime by themselves. We're at a point now where we not only are thinking about the blockade of the Strait ourselves, but we are now having to contemplate what that's going to mean on the world stage. Because if we get into it with a Chinese vessel, a vessel that is flying a Chinese flag, do we think that ends super duper well? I don't think so. I mean, just looking at my notes here, I see that a couple of things. Number one, taking more oil off the market is going to raise prices because a blockade is a blockade. Blockade means you choose who goes, when, and where. With Japan getting more than 70% of their oil from the Strait, other Asian countries getting over 70% of their oil from the Strait. And the president, seemingly, we got to kind of be objective here, is a little butthurt that some of those countries have not, quote unquote, helped us out during this whole war. We're not going to be deciding which of those countries get oil and when they don't. But like I say, this right now is more of a threat until I see it fully put into place, because we saw 2 naval destroyers transit the Strait of Hormuz over the weekend. Neither one of them were attacked that I know of. And there is some information out there purportedly of the Iranian Navy giving a couple of warnings to those naval vessels. I don't know if the audio that I have on that is authentic, so I'm not going to play it for you guys, but it will be available. I'll retweet it if you guys want to follow me on X. But number one is, even if we take more oil off the market, we're 100% going to streamline towards $150 per barrel for Brent crude oil prices, for Texas oil prices, for crude oil prices overall, because it's going to, at the end of the day, a blockade is a blockade. That can lead to a dramatic increases in our inflation, more price increases on us, more stuff that we have to think about, because we're still in ceasefire and we're doing stuff that is preparing for us to, if we no longer want to be in ceasefire, for it to go freaking down. So not only, my second point, stopping a tanker that's carrying Iranian oil is escalation, period. And it's not only escalation against Iran and their oil, but it's escalation against any country that wants that oil that's on that dang on vessel. China, Japan, India, other Asian countries. If there's Iranian oil on a ship, even if they didn't pay the toll, if we're going to just stop it, that's escalation. It's not only escalation for escalating the price of a barrel of oil, but it's possible escalation where we're getting into it with other countries, which we don't necessarily need to be doing because we're about to have a humongous summit in Beijing with China. And this just seems like it's not going to do anything to make those things any much easier. It also seems to be very, very odd to be punishing countries that pay a toll, including Pakistan, especially when Pakistan just facilitated negotiations in their country for us when they hosted those. So, if the strait was closed and it seemed like if you're a country, you're Bali, you are Japan, you are South Korea, and you seem to be the only way to get your oil was to pay Iran a toll because you don't have a big military if you're Bali or whatever, but you need that freaking oil. Now you may get punished for negotiating a toll because of the blockade. I don't know. Number four, a naval blockade of the Strait of Hormuz increases the likelihood of the Houthis closing the Red Sea, whether it's the Gulf of Aden or even if they go further north to the Suez Canal. Like, we're increasing that chance of escalation from their proxies in the region. If the Houthis were to seemingly close off the Red Sea, we're 100%, I guarantee we see $200 a barrel of oil. We see right here in Texas, I'm seeing gas prices that are inching up near $4, but they've been going back down a little bit during the ceasefire. I could see the shit getting over near $5. Like the highest I ever saw it was probably when I lived in North Carolina during I would say it was kind of right after I got back from Afghanistan. Oil prices were crazy high. I don't know why. I was younger, not very well versed in this. I was just a young Marine. I just remember one time filling up my Pontiac Bonneville with gas that was $4.18 a gallon. It felt like a lot to me, but I feel like it can go higher than that in different places that we go. So there are like nine or so days left in this ceasefire. And I do believe there are times for boasting and bragging and brinksmanship, but I think that the way that we get out of this is serious negotiations, serious diplomacy. This all or none thing for us, I don't know if that's going to be the way to go. My quick prediction, this is what I believe is going to happen. One of two things. Number one, we go all or none. We say you can't enrich uranium anymore. You're not allowed to do it, or else. I think they're going to continue to say no because Iran is Iran. And what will probably end up happening is I think we will just pull out and declare victory if we're able to, quote unquote, open the Strait of Hormuz and leave it to the Middle East to figure that shit out. What does that mean that Israel continues to go at this war alone? I don't know, maybe. That's number one. Number two is no more negotiations happen or some more happen during the rest of the ceasefire. It doesn't go anywhere and we go back to war. Those are like the only two paths that I see here. I see this being similar to May of 2025 when there was negotiations and the U.S. had one point that we wanted to make. And then later in the month of May, we kind of shifted towards our greatest allies point. And the next thing you know, we were doing Operation Midnight Hammer. If we get shifted by another country during our negotiations, this shit's never going to get resolved. Could I see it being resolved? Yes. Will it be resolved quicker? I don't know. I also believe, kind of sitting here and I'm looking at a map of the area itself as it stands. And it's a little bit difficult because I believe that we have to think about the Bab al-Mandeb Strait, the Strait of Hormuz, the Suez Canal. All of them have hostile proxies around those. Any of those could be affected. Any of those can affect the price of oil around the entire world, and we would have to think about that. I think that there could be 70% of our Navy in the region by the end of this, which would put us at an incredible disadvantage around the world for having naval assets where they should be, whether if everybody's like near the Indo-Pacific area or in the Mediterranean area, no one in other areas where we need them to be because we're also busy with Venezuela and Cuba. I don't know if that's a very good asset for us to be able to stay always at the ready. So I'm not 100% not knowing where this goes. Want to make sure I cover all my notes for you guys. We kind of saw this company coming because literally 12 hours ago, the president retweeted a story that he liked that says he holds the cards a naval blockade. So he was like forecasting a decision I guess he was going to make. So not only do we have to worry about that, but I just don't know how prices come down easier or faster by doing this blockade. But why are we doing it? I think we're doing it to try to force Iran back to the negotiating tables. That's one thing that I could try to predict, but it doesn't make a lot of sense. Another reason that we could be doing it is so that we, with the help of the UK, can sweep the Strait of Hormuz for mines, make it so that there is a more navigable, a path that ships can transit that's further away from the shores of Iran, and maybe we just pull out. But even if we were to get rid of any mines that may be in the strait, there is still the threat of one, it just takes one ballistic missile, one drone, one drone that goes across the water, unmanned via boat or something like that. It just takes one to hit a commercial vessel. It doesn't matter how much mine sweeping we do. It does not matter. Those things cost so much. They don't have military protection. They don't have military assets on board. It takes one to seemingly close the strait again. Because before all this was over, none of those vessels had a fear, not a big fear, of being hit by an Iranian ballistic missile. They have evidence right now to where we as the United States say their navy's depleted, their air force is gone, their surface to air capabilities are patoot. No more man pads, don't even sweat it. And then they see the taking down of an F-15 by the Iranians. They see the loss of over a dozen of our Reaper drones by the Iranians. They see the capability for them to launch ballistic missiles deep into this war by the Iranians. So if one vessel's hit, even after we quote unquote sweep for the mines and pull chalks, that's a wrap. We're gonna have to worry about that for a long time. So he says we're in the process of blockading any and all ships passing through the Strait of Hormuz after no agreement with Pakistan. I don't know how that's going to work out for us. I will say that be prepared to just make sure you always have your assets together. Make sure you always have enough of stockpile of different items that may be coming out of that particular area that you're worried about, because this is not going to do nothing but raise prices. I finished my coffee. I got real life to worry about. You know what I'm saying? T-ball for my sons tomorrow, chilling for my daughter today. I got to knock out some shit. So first time stopping by, hit the subscribe button. I would love to have you part of the battalion. If this is not your first time stopping by, well, thank you once again for watching me run my grape. With everyone else, we'll speak soon.